So this time in the car with me is Michał Kurtyka, Secretary of State in the Ministry of the Environment in Poland, and the Director of COP24. We're talking about ambitious goals, so let's start with a really ambitious goal. Electromobility in Poland.
We believe here in Poland that it really makes sense to seize this opportunity. Electric cars are the future of mobility, the same way that the 20th century was the century of oil. 21st century might prove to be the century of electricity, and right now we see an exponential growth in the share of electric cars all over the world. And Poland has its ambitions in this regard. So we set up a plan to get 1 million electric vehicles by 2025. With the help of technological progress, we can achieve this. There is also a big amount of public finance mobilized for that. And there is also a robust legal framework. So to increase, for example, the share of electric buses in Polish cities to 30%, and also make sure that public administration sets the examples of half of cars are to be turned into electric vehicles in the public administration.
It just so happens that Poland also manufactures electric buses. How is that going to be factored into the conversation?
In Poland already the public transport is quite well developed, and again in Poland there is a big manufacturing hub for buses in Europe. There is also a big project around the bus of the future. And 41 cities aggregated their demand for 1,077 electric buses.
So this is a number of cities ganging up together to get a better price.
Exactly.
When are we going to see some results?
The prototype of the electric bus of the future will be then delivered next year. Already the manufacturing capabilities are here, so there is no problem. Poland is already fourth country in the European Union in terms of number of electric buses.
In terms of volume of production?
In terms of number of electric buses on the street.
Oh, on the road, okay.
And also one of the biggest hub in terms of production of buses.
Much of our electric power is still generated by coal, which of course was one of the main concerns of the discussions at COP. Not surprisingly.
Yeah.
How would you describe the outcome of COP, seeing as you were the director of the conference?
That is a very beautiful and very amazing journey to prepare the conference and to run it. Polish presidency served as a catalyst for nearly 200 nations in order to get an agreement about what we can call Katowice rulebook. 29 articles of the Paris Agreement, which are defining the key fundamental principles which needs to be observed. But then these principles needed an operational framework, needed to be put into motion in Katowice. We will be all living, starting from now, in a framework, in a legal framework defined in Katowice, for protection of the earth, for combating undesirable effects, for decreasing emissions, for increasing adaptation ability, to provide also financing for developing countries. We didn't expect to have such a robust framework and comprehensive one and well balanced. It was an extremely tough and complicated negotiation, but right now this is a legal framework, and this framework needs to be filled with objectives by countries. Each country will have every 5 years to provide its contribution to the global climate policy.
What are the buttons that we need to press as a society in order to move faster, in order to have more ambitious goals?
We need governance, global governance, and that is Paris Agreement and Katowice rulebook. There are new technologies, they are emerging, but I think that if we increase the spending on research and development, that would be certainly a great thing. And third, we need also people on board. The message from Katowice was also very much of a necessity for having just transition and solidarity in the transition. If we leave somebody behind in the transition, then we risk a lot of opposition and lots of misunderstanding, and also, in fact, backsliding very much in a number. I'm very happy because the first day of COP24 in Katowice, leaders of the world adopted Silesia Declaration on Just Transition and Solidarity, which is providing with this message. But the second day, we adopted Declaration on Electromobility, and nearly 50 countries of the world joined this declaration, among them the biggest also and the most dynamically developing.
What's your climate message to the world?
If we do not change the way our civilization model is running, if we do not change habits of every day, nothing will happen. We all are responsible. Katowice rulebook is there, but then it provides with rules, but we need to fill these rules with targets, and that's up to all of us and up to our governments.
Very well. Michał Kurtyka, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.